name is Maya Walker. I am Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Admission here at Emory University. We bring you so many greetings from the Office of Undergraduate Admission, and we're really excited that you're here to engage in this panel of our great arts professors around campus, and we hope to speak with you soon.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you again for attending the Arts at Emory conversations that we're having today. We recognize that it is a different way of evaluating the school since we are, most of us are sheltering in place and I'm at home, but we are thankful that you can spend this hour with us. Just want to go over a few house rules that we have today, just so that things can go smoothly. First, we would invite you all, if you have questions. We did have students send questions in their registration, but if you do have any additional questions or you think of something during the conversation, by all means, you can type it into the chat, and we will answer those questions throughout the session today. This is a session that's focusing on arts at Emory, so we would ask that you limit your questions to things related. If you have questions about housing or financial aid or registration, I would encourage you to visit those offices' website and contact them directly. We have a wonderful moderator here, Mr. Giles Eady. He's going to lead this conversation, and so I will hand it over to him.
All right, thank you very much, Lindsay. Again, my name is Giles Eady. I'm Associate Dean of Undergraduate Admission at Emory, and I'm also the Fine Arts Liaison for the Admission Office. So if some of you were contacted this year to send in an art supplement, you may have gotten a message from myself and one of our 4 art departments requesting those. And so speaking of those departments, we have 4 outstanding representatives from those departments with us. From the Department of Theater and Dance, along with playwriting, we have Lisa Paulson, who's here. And from the Department of Dance Studies, we have Julio Medina. Julio is an Emory alum who's now back at the department teaching there. Then we have, in vocal studies, Bradley Howard. And lastly, with the Emory University Orchestra, the director, Dr. Paul Bassin, who's here with us too. So I figure just to get things going, this is an art group, so I figure the arts departments might want to talk a little bit about what their departments can offer an Emory student and what's unique about the departments. And so the first person I see is Lisa Paulson. So if Lisa wants to get started, and we'll go from there.
Hi, thank you so much, Giles. Hi, I'm Lisa Paulson. Welcome to all of you. Congratulations for your admittance to Emory University. We were just talking before about what an exciting campus Emory is for the arts. And so we're eager to talk to you about what's available here and what kind of programming that we do. So I'm the chair of the Department of Theater and Dance. The dance program, however, is a very autonomous program, almost like a department itself. So Julio will be able to speak to the dance programming better than I can. I'm also the director of the Playwriting Center of Theater Emory, and so I can also speak to playwriting and our playwriting joint major. We're a theater department, so we offer courses at all levels, from beginning to advanced in all areas of theater. We are very open in terms of who can take those classes, so we don't restrict them to our majors, for instance. We really want to make them available to all students who have an interest in pursuing studies in theater. We also have a theater company, a professional theater company, Theater Emory, on campus, and students are involved in our productions as actors, stage managers, assistant directors, all kinds of different roles that they can take. In addition, in terms of the production side, because I think that's what a lot of students want to be involved in, we have 4 different independent student theater organizations on campus. Each of them has their own mission, and they all have their own artistic directors, and they really run as an autonomous theater company. So there's a ton of opportunities within student theater. So we have a improvisational company, we have a musical theater company, we have a kind of straight theater company, and then we have a Chinese language theater company called Emory Chinese Theater Club. And the other thing that is really important in terms of what we do is we do a lot of focus on the development of new work. So playwriting or ensemble created plays. So we not only support young writers and we bring established writers to campus to work on their plays in development with our company, but we also are interested in ensemble developed pieces. And so we have courses and productions and projects that that look at work in development and also premiere plays that haven't been produced before that are new. So that's kind of an overview of how theater works at Emory.
All right, moving on. Speaking of dance, let's go to Julio Medina. If you could talk about the dance program at Emory and what it offers.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Julio Medina. Thank you, Lisa. I also wanted to echo congratulations on everyone. I'm also the admissions liaison for the Emory Dance Program, so you might have heard from me when we were asking for supplemental information. In terms of our dance program, we offer a lot of classes that range from modern dance, ballet. I am now teaching hip hop, so we've currently added that to the curriculum. We teach kuchipudi, African dance. And these classes are open to not just the majors and minors, but also everyone in the university. So very similar to theater in that way, and we're sort of inclusive of anyone who wants to learn is very much welcome. One of the exciting things about the Emory Dance Program is the Emory Dance Company. And this happens every semester, fall and spring. And students can audition and be part of a choreographic process. In the fall, this process is led by the faculty of the dance program and maybe a guest artist. And in the spring, this is a student-led choreography. So this is also an opportunity for the students of the dance program and the majors and minors to choreograph. One of the special things about the Emory Dance Program is that we bring in guest artists every year in the dance field, guest artists who are renowned or very active in the dance field. We've had Kyle Abraham, Cedar Lake Contemporary. Bill T. Jones was in the house one year. We've had Monica Bill Barnes recently, just to throw out some names. But I find that these are very enriching experiences for our students in the Emory Dance Program. There are also a lot of movement research opportunities for the students, especially our seniors who are eligible for a senior thesis, where you can research a topic and produce a concert. That said, we also have a lot of independent studies as well. So if students want to venture out and maybe focus more on production, these are also possibilities, the production side of dance, or have an internship off campus. That's also possible. So yeah.
All right, very nice. Well, moving on to voice, Bradley Howard, if you can give us some insight on the department.
Sure. Paul will also, Dr. Basine will have a lot to say about our department as well. So I will start by saying that there is a lot of overlap actually with all our arts organizations. And in my classes in particular, in the vocal studies, I teach the opera and musical theater workshop in the music department called Stageworks. And there's a prerequisite course that's cross-listed. Actually, both courses are cross-listed with theater. And half, sometimes more than half of the students in that class are theater majors or some other major. So my classes are open to non-majors and music majors as well. And speaking of majors, I think in all of our areas, a large percentage of our students are double majors. And I know that that's one of the things that attracts people to Emory, is that they can double major in something, you know, in whatever they want to to double major in. And I would say 95% of the students who are majors in music are double majors in something else. And the sciences and music, or another humanities core major and music, and so forth. And I imagine that's mirrored across the other arts organizations, departments. In the performance techniques class I teach, it's basically the prerequisite for the opera musical theater workshop, and we work on stage techniques and that sort of thing to prepare you for performing in stage works. Also, I oversee the vocal studies program, and so the solo singing basically at Emory, and voice lessons. We have 5 voice teachers in my area, and we have there are approximately 25 or so voice majors in music, and then we have lots of non-majors as well who are studying in voice lessons. We have in the music department overall we have 3 tracks. We have the performance track and the research track and composition. So students can study any of those things. There's also some study across the tracks in the music department. So for instance, we have some singers who are studying composition, or singers who are doing research projects. We also have the honors projects as well, the senior capstone projects. And I just served on a committee that was a composition, a singer who's a composer, and she did an honors thesis in composition. We have students who do honors recitals, and it's treated just as the same as a thesis would be. So anyway, there's a lot more that we can say, and Paul, I'm sure, has more to say about our music department and the ensembles as well. So I think I'll just let that be. You're welcome to email me with any questions you may have.
Perfect. Well, I guess you'll volley that over to Dr. Basine, and you can
Yes.
give insight.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see all of your names. I recognize quite a few of your names from having enjoyed your wonderful art supplements and your auditions, and it's great to have you here. A lot of wonderful things that we've heard from so far, but just to share with you, I'm the conductor of the University Symphony Orchestra, and I also oversee the instrumental music program in the Department of Music. What I would say about Emory that I think is most unique is similar to what Dean Eady said a moment ago. Emory specifically encourages you as a student to synchronize your musical interests with your academic ones, but within a liberal arts framework. So I'll come back to what that means in a moment. But in my experience, I found that it's hard for students to find a place where they can experience School of Music or conservatory level ensembles and performing opportunities and study opportunities, but without somehow compromising on their non-musical academic interests. And from my perspective in the Department of Music, what we do is we really deliberately serve that kind of a student who is seeking to synchronize and really flourish in both of those arenas simultaneously. So on the instrumental side of things, we offer the symphony orchestra, we have a wind ensemble program, chamber music, studio lessons, large ensembles, small ensembles, and our ensembles are able to perform some of the most rigorous repertoire: Mahler, Strauss, Prokofiev, Bruckner. Next year we're performing Carmina Burana by Karl Orff. We're also doing Beethoven Symphony No. 9. Those are both collaborations with the university choir. And the reason that we're able to do this really vigorous material is because so many of our students come to our program from really strong backgrounds. So we have many students in the ensembles who have experienced festivals and programs like Tanglewood and National Youth Orchestra, Verbier, Juilliard Pre-College, all-state bands, orchestras, these kinds of things. And so it allows us to undertake the kinds of performing projects and concert material that would normally happen at a School of Music. And I would encourage you all, as if you're all on laptops, if you'd like to visit emorysymphony.org and have a look around our website, you can read a lot more, and maybe that might inspire you to ask some questions of your own during our session. But another thing about Emory that's unique on the instrumental side is that we have almost every single principal chair of the Atlanta Symphony teaching for us. And that also helps us to schedule some really fantastic collaborations with that entity. So, for example, in fall 2021, we have a plan to perform a side-by-side concert with the Atlanta Symphony. But some of the other things we've done recently, just some more unusual things. Some of our students have performed live on NBA TV. That's National Basketball Association. They performed with Ben Folds, the rock and roll singer, songwriter. This is all things they've done while they're students. Also, they recently performed with Rashid Williams, who is John Legend's music director and drummer. And we're also undertaking CD recording projects and film scoring premieres, all as a part of our sort of diverse portfolio of activity. So just to give you a sort of summary of what we do, really pleased to be here with each of you and looking forward to our discussion.
All right, perfect. Well, I think what I will do, just kind of looking at the questions, I've been able to kind of synchronize a lot of the questions because they are pertaining to each department, but I think they can be answered by any department. So the first question, I think that's good for any of the departments to answer. The one that we see a lot from people who are interested in arts at Emory is, one, do I have to major in the art to participate? And two, if I decide to choose the major, would my experience be different if I was a major versus was not a major? And so Julio and Brad, or Brad, if you want to start with one of those questions, that'd be good.
So yes, I think across the board in every department, we non-majors are able to participate in these ensemble groups and these and also in the classes that we teach in our departments. And I think that what was the second part of your question? I'm sorry.
Is there a difference in the experience between
Yes.
majors?
So the experience between majoring and non-majoring, I think in music is sometimes, I would say, the depth of the study. If you're a major, you're required to take about twice as many courses as a minor, and many more as if you're just taking one class, of course. And so if you're really looking for a more in-depth study, then I would major as opposed to non-major. However, that being said, as a non-major, you can choose as many courses as you want to take, as you can possibly take, and still complete your principal major. So yes, you can do both.
There a department where that's an anomaly? If there is, that person could say something to be good. But Julio, it looks like you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to echo that as a dance major, there is more depth in study, but I also believe more depth in the experience of community and connecting with faculty and connecting with other dance majors or minors. Not to say that that excludes non-majors. I just think there's an inherent level of connection there when you decide to go all the way. But these classes are very much accessible to anyone who wants to dance, non-majors or not.
All right, well, good. Kind of moving on to another question, that one I just saw. How common or how feasible would it be for a student to, say, participate in one of your art departments and, say, have a major in life sciences or something?
I can take that one. I think that that there are almost all arts majors have a second major. So it's different percentages in each major, but it's very common. So we have theater majors who are biology majors and maybe also pre-med, or we have theater majors who are in the business school. So really it's a matter of planning, but Emory makes it very possible to double major through the way the general education requirements are laid out. So one of the, I think, great things about Emory is how you can really get depth in two areas. And so and they can be very contrasting areas. In fact, that's often what students like to do. So it's really common to see somebody maybe in the sciences and the arts, or history and theater, or dance and anthropology. It's not an uncommon to see those kinds of connections. And one of the things that often happens through the honors theses or the senior projects is that the students end up bringing together those interests into some kind of undergraduate research project that they would be leading in their as a capstone experience.
I wanted to add to that, that I've had a student who was theater and music. So they were very similar and complementary of each other. And he has gone on to do wonderful things and in theater. And so and playwriting and music, that's another one that seems to go well together, that I've had several do that. And so they can be very similar as well.
That's true.
I also want to point out that when I speak to students and their families, I think a lot of times they have, when they think of the idea of majoring in the performing arts, sometimes there's a little bit of uncertainty or confusion about the definition of a Bachelor of Arts degree versus a Bachelor of Music or a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. For those of you who are musically minded, just keep in mind that when you think music major, you may be thinking of the Bachelor of Music degree at a school of music or conservatory, which is roughly 100 credits out of 120 just in music. And that's a degree that has one mission, which is to prepare future professional musicians for a career in music. But the liberal arts, the Bachelor of Arts degree, whether it's in music or anything else, it's part of a comprehensive arts and sciences education within a liberal arts setting, which means that, Brad, how many credits is our major? Is it 38?
45, I think, with lessons
45, okay.
Lessons and ensembles.
Right, with the lessons and ensembles. So what I mean to say is that Emory's Bachelor of Arts course of study is meant to be more accessible and inclusive to students who have other interests, and as opposed to at a conservatory where it's really not designed for people with many interests. If that makes any sense to you all.
All right. Well, some other questions that have come through. One that is department specific. This one is for dance. Julio, what kind of dancer is best suited for the department? Would it be someone who has a background in modern dance or ballet? Who is best suited for the department at Emory?
Well, I would like to start answering that question by saying that the dance program is a modern dance-based program. And so someone with modern dance background is maybe best prepared for it. But the reality is that not everyone comes in with that background. And so I would say that any student who is willing to learn and who is open and curious about movement, how movement works, what movement can mean, is suited for the program, really. And right now, we are currently in the process of actually opening up the requirements for the program, where hip hop and jazz are now sort of also requirements or electives that count towards the major and the minor, so that we can open up the platform for students with different movement backgrounds. I would also say that ballet never hurts. And anyone with some sort of ballet experience I think we'll be able to, in some ways, play with the movement concepts that we explore in class.
So another quick question along the dance line that just came through. Are there tap classes available?
Oh, I've been pushing for tap classes since I got here, but not currently, not that I know of, but it is something that comes up in conversation. We do have a social dance class which explores more of ballroom type dances. Also, I saw a question earlier in the chat. I just wanted to address it. If Oxford has a dance program or dance club, and yes, it does. And the person I believe you want to talk to, his name is Alex Abarca. But yes, the Oxford campus does have a dance program.
All right, so another question, just kind of synthesizing a few questions here, something that we were talking about before we started. What opportunities do you see, or what opportunities are there that the Emory Arts Department collaborates with the greater city of Atlanta? As we know, Atlanta has a thriving art scene, and so I like to think that maybe Emory influences Atlanta's art scene, or Atlanta influences Emory's scene. I don't know which one, but could you speak on that?
I can start with that. Yeah, so I think all of us have pretty active relationships around the city. Many of our faculty actually work in the professional arts organizations around Atlanta. So that is one way in which students go see performances at different places, and sometimes get to see their faculty. So there's actually funding where classes can be taken to see productions. And so that's a cool thing. Of course, we, like a lot of other departments, we bring into a theater Emory, we hire professionals to come and work alongside our students and faculty in terms of production responsibilities. And sometimes they might even teach a class while they're here. And then many students are involved in internships in Atlanta and around the country in theater and in the other arts. So during the school year, students will sometimes do an internship for which they can get credit. And so and those are usually in Atlanta. And I was saying earlier that many of the theaters in the city have Emory alumni on their staff. And so it's not uncommon for our current students to go to an internship at, say, Synchronicity Theater and find that their supervisor is an Emory alum who maybe even had that same internship when they were in college. So there's a very active engagement in terms of internships. And then students also do interning during the summertime. And that can be in Atlanta, but also people go all over the country to New York and Chicago and Steppenwolf and all kinds of places. We have somebody just got an internship, I found out today, in Seattle. So we're very actively involved with that kind of connection. And then also our students go out, especially as they get to be upperclassmen, go out and audition for theaters around town, especially as they're looking to leave Emory. But we have a few current students who manage to work out in the city in a theater at the same time that they're involved on campus, although that takes a lot more juggling. But so there's a very active, very robust connection between the arts on campus and the arts in the city of Atlanta.
Now, music, I know there are some connections between the two of you and, say, the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. Can you speak more on that?
Sure. It's rare that so many members of a major orchestra would be teaching at a liberal arts school, because usually they teach at professional conservatories or schools of music in most other cities in America. But that's one of the things about Emory that's unusual, is that the one-on-one relationship students can have with a mentor in an orchestra like that, which is usually reserved for those professional degree, those school of music environments, we have that here. So that represents a great best of both worlds kind of environment that we offer. And some examples of the way that we really celebrate that connection is we have a 2-year CD recording project with Centaur Records right now, where we are featuring 5 different principal players from the Atlanta Symphony performing solos with the orchestra and the wind ensemble. And that CD release will be, is currently scheduled for the end of next academic year. So all of our students get a publication credit for performing on that CD, and it's a fun and exciting outlet for them. And on top of that, I would say a lot of our students do perform in the city of Atlanta in different regional orchestras, professional chamber music. They also participate quite a bit in putting together their own outreach organizations that perform and perform services for at-risk youth throughout the city of Atlanta. For example, we have a really robust organization right now that is working with multiple schools throughout the city and helping to support the education initiatives and goals of the public school system by working with students who don't have access to instruments or lessons. But you know, the current executive director of the Atlanta Symphony is an Emory alum, and Jennifer Barlament is her name, and she has worked closely with our students in the past in panel discussions and mentoring, and it's really a special connection that we have. But I also know that the jazz musicians do quite a bit of gigging in town and recording sessions. I think there's a lot of activity and interaction between the city of Atlanta and our students.
And from the dance perspective, I want to say that we have a very strong connection with our local dance companies, and also some internships for teaching for those who are interested in teaching kids. We have a strong partnership with Moving in the Spirit, which is a nonprofit here in Atlanta. And there are a few dance companies or maybe spaces like Fly on a Wall, Core, which is also here. And some of the faculty also have their own companies, and they have also sort of brought in students from the Emory Dance program and sort of push them forward out into the community as performers and then also as choreographers. Something that I would like to develop is maybe a little avenue into commercial music videos, especially now that we have this hip hop courses in the curriculum, and maybe even developing some dance for camera or film, since we are finding that more filming is taking place here in Atlanta now.
Well, awesome. I can attest to Emory students gigging in the city. My sister got married a couple years ago, and she actually hired some Emory strings to perform in the orchestra, perform at her wedding. So that was really spot on. So yes, they do gig in the city. So a question that came previously before we started our session was, what if you have limited to no experience with the art? Is there a place for you in the department at Emory?
Yeah, I can start on that. Yes, absolutely. We have had students who discover an area of the arts that they want to focus on after they come to Emory. They didn't ever get a chance to do it in their high school years, and they discover it, and they jump in with both feet, right? And they become a really active member of the community, of the productions, and they can even major. So several years ago, we had a student who in the first semester of his junior year decided that he wanted to be a theater major and not a business major. And through a lot of careful planning, he was able to complete his major and is now a working actor. So it's very possible to do that, but it does require planning if you come to it a little bit late.
Yeah, I had a student once who came in and she had not a lot of previous experience, and she didn't start majoring her first semester. She started her second semester, then she dropped the major her third semester, then she came back the fourth semester and ended up making music her only major, and went on to graduate school in music and voice. And then she had great success there at the University of Michigan. And then she took the LSAT after that and is at Harvard in her second year of law school now. So we never know where you're going to end up. But her experience in music and in the arts was extremely important, and she feels it's been important in her current situation in law school, and so it's directly related, she thinks. And so it's just very, the opportunities here are wonderful. We can prepare you for going on professionally. If I think it's important for students to communicate that from the outset, or as soon as you know, so that we can help prepare you for a life as a professional artist, and what those next steps might be, help you with that.
Well, Brad, you make a good point about just how arts can prepare you for so much. Two anecdotal things. One of my wife's good friends from dental school went to the University of Michigan, and her undergraduate major was music.
Mm-hmm.
And also in my family, a lot of my family are musicians, but I have an uncle of mine whose undergraduate major was also music, and now is a Fulton County judge.
Right.
So it can lead to a lot of different places. So I hope no one feels that an art major is very limiting, because it's certainly not.
Right. Recently, I had a student, or a few years ago, at Emory. She was a Spanish major and music.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's in her third year of medical school.
Yeah.
So again, she wanted her undergraduate experience to be something really special, and she wanted to study the things that she was passionate about. And she knew also that she was interested in becoming a doctor, and eventually did that as well.
Yeah.
It's
Can
one
I?
of the beauties of the liberal arts is liberal arts education is you really can pursue what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, and you learn skills. And of course, we think especially in the arts, but you learn skills that can be applied across such a wide variety of other pursuits you might take after school. So we work really hard to be able, and I think in all of our departments, to both prepare people who want to go ahead and work in a professional arts field, but also students who want to seriously study the arts while they're on campus, and then take that into some other direction that may be separated from the arts. So that is really, most of us have that as a goal, to really serve both those sets of students.
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I just wanted to chime in and say, maybe testify that I didn't start dancing until college at Emory, in the Emory dance program. I didn't start dancing until I was 18. And I was going to study business or physical therapy at Emory, and then I changed my mind because I was really passionate about dance, and then pursued it, and now I'm here, faculty in the dance program. So yeah.
Well, a question that we can give to Paul or Brad. What kind of ensembles are there for the music department at Emory? As far as vocal studies, what kind of voice ensembles for instrumental? Beyond the orchestra, what other ensembles are there? So who wants to take it first?
I'll say a few things, and then I know Brad will be able to really take it into the vocal area. But we've been talking about classical ensembles like the wind ensemble and the symphony orchestra, but we have a very robust jazz program with big band, with jazz combos, and every year they have a festival and a variety of performances that feature the biggest names in jazz: Bob Mintzer, Victor Goines, just some of the biggest international stars come to Emory's campus and work with our students in the jazz area. And we offer course of study curriculum in improvisation, arranging, songwriting, and solo opportunities. But we also have a burgeoning, in the last year or so, development of in the composers area for composition students, to create not only acoustic and traditional music, but also for electronic music and electronic music ensembles. So students who are interested in electronic music production often collaborate with one another in an ensemble setting, in studio and in performance environments. But we also, apart from that, we do have some remarkable choral organizations that have been celebrated at the national level at the American Choral Directors Association and other amazing national awards that they have garnered. And I know Brad can speak a little bit more about that because he works with those students.
Sure. Thanks, Paul. So we have two choral ensembles. The University Chorus, it meets once a week, and there are approximately 140 to 150 members in that choir, and they're students and also some members from the community, from CDC, from other parts of the university who are singing in that, and they every year they do the lessons and carols at Christmas time, at the holiday season, and they do a large concert with the orchestra in the, well, this next year probably in the fall, but sometimes in the spring. And then the smaller group is, it's the concert choir. It's 35 to 40 people. And this is the choir, it's the choir that sometimes will go on tour. A few years ago, they went to Spain. This year, they were supposed to go to Amsterdam, and of course, that was canceled. And then and that choir also, it meets 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And the ensembles carry credit in case anyone is curious about that. And so as part of the major, those credits are part of the major. And then outside the major, I think they can count as elective credits in some arena. And then other ensembles that I noticed there was a question about are some that are non-curricular, and the a cappella groups they thrive on our campus. We have maybe 8 or 9, maybe 10, I think, a cappella groups, different a cappella groups. Some are men only, some are female only, some are various, they're associated with various clubs and in the university. And so those are student run. And so when you arrive on campus, this actually applies for all the ensembles as well, the curricular and non-curricular. When you arrive on campus is when you have the auditions for these groups. During the first week of classes and during orientation is when they often will hold these auditions. And then I think a cappella groups are a week or 2 after that, after school has started, that the students will arrange, the student leaders will arrange for those auditions. And so there was another question about, oh, well, you covered the jazz. We have a thriving jazz program. So that's all I have to say about vocal ensembles and ensembles in general.
While we're talking about auditions, Julio, could you talk about what the audition process is for the dance department?
Yeah, there aren't any auditions for the dance program per se, but there are auditions for the Emory Dance Company. So if you want to perform in the fall or the spring, you do have to audition at the beginning of the semester, normally within that first week. And it's pretty much a formal dance audition process. You get your number, you learn some choreography, and very quickly after that, you perform it in groups. But it's a great experience, and it's part of preparing our students for being professionals in the field.
All right. Lisa Paulson, is there an audition process for the theater company?
Yeah, so we audition for each semester's shows. So when students come, we audition quite early on in the fall. And then at the end of that semester, we do auditions for the following semester shows. And that's true for Theater Emory and also for the student theater groups. So one of the things that we send out a mailing in the summertime to deposited students who've expressed an interest in theater, doing things like suggesting courses that you might want to be considering, how you could get permission numbers for those, and also what the season is and what the audition process and dates would look like. So we try to get that out to people, for incoming freshmen, in July, before you head into your registration process.
And Dr. Bassin, I know your audition process is a little different.
Right, in August, when the students come to campus, they perform an audition in order to be considered for not only the performing ensembles in the instrumental area, but also the chamber music program and the lessons themselves. Which is to say that if students seek lessons but are not interested in credit or in being a major or a minor, there is a mechanism for them to arrange for private lessons if they're not interested in any of those opportunities. But once a student is past that audition process, then they're eligible to perform in any of the ensembles, whether or not they are a major or a minor or neither. And the good news is that we re-audition all of the ensembles every fall to make sure that incoming students have just as the same opportunity as returning students. And one other thing to remember is that the audition process is very forgiving. We understand that students may not have been practicing all day, every day leading up to the audition. And so the auditions are painless, they are warm and inviting, and we are really looking to assess a student's background, experience, potential, and they don't have to be note perfect, to say the least.
Very good. Well, something I just saw that came up, I think it's perfect, the answer came there. Yes, that's the exact answer, Dr. Lisa Paulson, that she gave that answer there. Of course, we don't admit anyone to Emory University for a major. They're admitted to Emory College or Oxford College, and from there they can choose their major and participation in the departments. So another question that I saw that came previously, I know about this life very well. I'm a percussionist, so in practicing for the orchestra in college, I had to go in the practice rooms, and people wanted me to be in practice rooms because they thought it was noisy. So are there practice facilities at Emory for music and dance and theater? Do you have similar facilities?
For theater students, our classrooms double as rehearsal spaces in the evenings and on the weekends. So a student theater production that needed rehearsal space, or if students wanted to needed to work on their classwork, like a scene to rehearse it outside of class, they would use our acting studios and our performance spaces. And there's a reservation system where they can access those spaces.
In the instrumental music area, we do have some spaces. We have spaces that are dedicated for music students, meaning we really try to prioritize the students who are enrolled in some kind of a music course, because we have limited spaces for students to perform or to practice on pianos, and also practice spaces. But there are some spaces on campus where students who are not affiliated with the Department of Music at all are able to practice. For example, I think they may have changed the name of it, Giles. Is it still it's the University Center, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And I know that there are some practice spaces there, maybe a few pianos. So that is definitely possible for students to find those spaces. But if a student is enrolled in any music course, we have spaces for them, and they're able to access those 24 hours a day.
And Brad, are there facilities for voice?
It's similar.
Okay. You're on mute, Brad.
It's similar to what Dr. Bassin just said. There are practice rooms in the Burlington Road building, which is where the vocal lessons take place. They are it's key card access, so they're safe. And in the Burlington Road building, their key card, the ID card allows you to enter. And someone had just also asked about the auditions and how would they prepare their class schedule, over the summer. I think that it's important to maybe just talk with the specific area of the arts that you're interested in, talk with those people and with us, and ask us about the specifics for our program. But the other sort of safety of this is that you have the add drop period during the first 2 weeks of school, or the first full week of school. And during that time, you can attend classes. You'll get the results of your ensemble audition, and you'll know how to proceed as far as whether you need to drop a course that conflicts with that particular ensemble or class that you audition for.
All right, well, good. Well, I think we're about to get ready to wrap things up. I know, Brad, you have a class to teach, but there's one really good question, and I think Lisa Paulson may be able to answer this the best. There was a question about work study opportunities in the arts, and I know the arts department at Emory has arts associates. How does one go about those programs?
Yeah, so theater is very active in hiring students as work study students, both in kind of typical administrative positions and marketing, but also in assistant stage managing, working in the scene shop or the costume shop. So some of those are really appealing to students who have interest or background in those areas. So we hire many students through the federal work study program. Emory uses the handshake system. So all of those jobs are listed on the handshake, but you can also just contact the department and say, I'm coming, I have federal work study, I'm really interested in this kind of thing, and we'll try to connect you to the supervisor who might be the most appropriate for that.
Very nice. Well, I think that's about all. If you've noticed in the chat box, we've posted links to each of the departments, so you can see works that they've done on YouTube mostly. I strongly recommend seeing them. And if you are an Emory student, which we hope all of you will be, you actually have opportunities to attend all the department's productions. As a part of your tuition, you get free entry to these productions. So I strongly recommend taking advantage of these, because they're things that people in the city of Atlanta pay good money to attend. And as an Emory student, you get for free. So you got to take advantage of those things. All the professors that are in this chat are also going to be available for questions via email. So if you have other things that come up later, you can certainly send them a message, and they'll be glad to answer your questions. But if that does it, I want to say thank you to Lisa Paulson, Bradley Howard, and Dr. Paul Basine for your contributions. And we also thank Julio Medina, who had to go to another lecture. But we thank you very much, and we hope to see you all in the fall.